What's going on? Welcome to VT Sports. I'm Danny Cannell alongside my guy Chris Mano. Fun show lined up for you once again today. A lot of drama unfolding in the NFL. This time, what's happening off the field at a resort in Sedona, Arizona, between a head coach and a major name in the broadcasting world, a reporter for the NFL, for The Athletic. We'll break down that story, a little drama there. Plus, we got to get a lot of other stuff to get to. The NBA, they have instituted, you have to play 65 games? 65 games? There is going to impact a lot of players who are going to be ineligible for postseason awards. We'll break that down. Gino Auriemma, the head coach of UConn, versus Dawn Staley, almost went to blows in the Final Four of the women's national championship tournament. We'll break that fight down. There was a fight in Major League Baseball that was unbelievable. One of the best fights I've seen in a while. We'll break that one down as well. Plus, a lot of other stories we got to get to, and we're going to break through some of these cards, as we always do, to finish out the show. But before we do anything else, I'm going to check in with my guy, Mano, see what's going on. How we doing?
Things are good, man. Real, you said it. Super dramatic week. Like Jerry Springer meets sports this week, right? Holy cow.
Yes. By the way, for those watching, if you're wondering, wait, where were you guys yesterday? This is why you need to subscribe to the channel, because then when you subscribe, you get the little alert that says, hey, we're coming on live right now. So you never miss a show. You're never late. You can catch us live whenever we're on. And, of course, leave some comments, leave some suggestions, leave some questions, whatever you want. We'll hit those either in that chat or directly on the show. So make sure you're subscribing to the channel.
And what I would like to add for those of you who haven't subbed yet, you have to, because we will be putting out we're starting to really flood the network with a lot of new cool stuff. We popped something out Danny put out yesterday about parenting athletes. This stuff is vital, guys. Make sure you check it out. I got a case study coming out on Kirk Cousins. We got a little Stephen A. Smith business coming up. So, guys, make sure you do check in, man. We got a lot of cool stuff coming for you.
Absolutely love that. All right, let's get to it. It's the drama that was unfolding as the NFL. Page 6, which I remember when I was on the New York Giants.
Okay.
I remember my dad telling me, like, I don't ever want to see you on page 6, right? And I actually was in there a couple times, like just when you're the starting quarterback of the New York Giants, like if you go to a certain restaurant or you go to a Yankees game, like a different sport outside of yours, they'll put a little mention, hey, Danny Cannell was there. Maybe it was the girl, maybe it wasn't, but, or it was a family, whatever.
Sure.
So my dad was always like, stay out of page 6.
Yep.
I remember when I was hired at ESPN, there was a massive scandal between the Mets GM. I don't know if you remember this story. Steve Phillips, when he had a little tussle with an ESPN coworker, and it cost him his job at ESPN. And one of the executives I was interviewing with, it was the very day, he pulls out the New York Post and he throws this down. He goes, if we hire you, I never want to see this. And I was like, I promise you, you'll never see me there. I was like, I'm happily married. I'm like, you don't have to worry about it. But you never know. It's caught a lot of good men and a lot of bad men. But in any case, I was like, I get the message. Like, you don't want to show up in there. And that is the case as it is for New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and the Athletics NFL reporter Dianna Russini. Dianna Russini was a colleague of mine. I worked with her at ESPN. I know her fairly well. I haven't talked to her in probably 10 years. It's been about that how long I've been out. But these photos were picked up by Page 6. It was kind of in between the NFL owners meetings, which were in Phoenix, Arizona, and I think it was Arizona State's Pro Day. I think there was something around there that was like a break in the schedule. And this is at a resort in Sedona, Arizona, that both of them were seen. There is not anybody else in the pictures. There's the embrace with the fingers interlocking. That's a very unique. I don't even know if I do that with my wife, but that is something you probably do with your lover.
Yeah.
That's like, you look like young, in love, like 17-year-olds when you're embracing this way. Both of them are married, which is one that's just a rough look. Here's Diana's husband, and there's Vrabel's been married 20 plus years to his wife. Both of them had said it's just friendly. They said there were other people around, even though there aren't in the photos. This is a mess for both of them. I don't think you want to ever have this unfold, but now they've got to deal with the repercussions. Do you think anything comes of this?
I think only one of them is real. The sucky part about it is, and right or wrong, it's really one of them that's only at risk, as much as I hate to say it. Obviously, the worst look is they're both married. You mentioned that yourself. But from a professional standpoint, really only one of them stands to lose very much. Obviously, Mike Vrabel has been a very successful head coach in the NFL. So right or wrong, he ain't losing his job, right? Nothing about Mike Vrabel and his profession changes because of this. Still, a bad look. Definitely, obviously leader of men, probably should be doing the right thing out there if, allegedly if it ends up being anything. Dianna Russini, on the other hand, that kind of puts a little bit of a chink in her, what she does. It kind of compromises the journalistic integrity, which is kind of the biggest thing with Dianna Russini and her role in this whole thing. I mean, think about the last 3 weeks or a month. There's been so many rumors of a trade potentially the Patriots are going to be making, and there's been one person sort of spearheading these stories, and I'm talking about A.J. Brown potentially to the Patriots.
Right.
Every one of these stories is tagged from Dianna Russini in it, and now you see in hindsight that she's kind of, I don't know, the word they say is like canoodling with the head coach of the Patriots, and it makes you think then maybe she's it just gives a bad look altogether.
Well, this is also what you never want to have happen. But once you're kind of exposed like this, then the internet goes to work.
Oh, yeah.
And there are so many clips of Dianna Russini that are going around where she's casting major shade on her husband.
Yeah, it's tough.
She's kind of joking about partying too much in Miami. And she's a very flirtatious person. Like, I think that's the way you would best describe her.
Right.
And some reporters, both men and women, use that kind of, you get that little flirty attitude to try to get some sort of relationship with a coach or somebody you're trying to source information from. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it can end up like this, where maybe that flirtatiousness goes a little bit too far. But once they start digging in the past, this looks really bad. Then old reports that were rumors at the time, people are looking at it and saying, well, man, the rumors around Washington when she was a beat reporter for the Washington Redskins at the time, those start coming to light again, which were, those were rumors before she was hired at ESPN, and she denied them. The GM's wife denied them because the GM's wife basically put her on blast and was like, we know how you're getting these. It is because you're giving them sexual favors. I'll give you the clean version.
Yeah.
And so then those come back. There was another report from the New York Daily News. Did you see that one on David Bright?
I've heard that one goes as far back as like 2008.
Yes,
and I remember that because I lived in New York at the time.
Yeah.
And that's not, those two aren't even the last one. Like, I've heard allegedly that she was even scrapping with another reporter over Sean McVay.
I saw that too.
Point.
Yeah.
So that's what you don't want to do. You do, because like you said, man, once you give them a little bit, they're digging and they're finding everything. Because I never heard of these before. I mean, the 2008 thing, I was in New York, I heard that. I never heard of the McVay thing, right?
No.
That never came to light on my feed in anything. But now you've got a whole internet full of sleuths out there trying to dig out anything, and that is not a good place to be if you're Dianna Russini right
Your
now.
name is all you have and your reputation, and that sometimes you build up a good name, it can be torn down like that in an instant. I like Dianna Russini, but I think her reputation kind of preceded her. A lot of people like, what's really going on there? Now, whatever journalistic chops she's had, those are all gone.
Right.
Because of this. Like, everyone's assuming, anytime she's broken a story, it must be because she was doing this. Where I hate that for her, but now that's the reality that she's having to live in because of some of these stories.
And you know who that does the biggest disservice to?
Other women reporters.
Bingo. You said it. Because now they've worked very hard, and there are some very, very good ones out there who do a really, really good job of keeping it professional, getting to the bottom of things, and dropping stories and announcing games. And they've been fantastic. And over the last 10 years, they've been more in the game than they ever have before, more access, more real good stories. And they're the ones who take a hit for this, because now it's like, and we've seen it with like this kind of age, it kind of sucks. Like, I hate to swing it here, but you hear things like DEI, and then people are like, they're going to think that just because you're this, you didn't have the merit to get the job that way. Right. Well, that's what people are going to start to think now. They're going to start to think that let's be real, more times than not, they're attractive women that they put on these TV stations. Right. And in the field that they're in, people are taking shots at them all day, let's be honest. And so it leaves a bad look, and it does them the biggest disservice, because now they're going to have to fight to prove that the reason that I'm here is because I'm good and I can actually do the job. Right. As opposed to I'm just taking shortcuts because I look like I look.
I hate this story so much for all the hardworking women in sideline reporting, whether they're just overall general reporters, whether they're on camera, whatever they are, in our business, in broadcasting. I hate this for those women for two reasons. One, now everybody kind of assumes they're doing it, right? Oh, well, this is how it works. This is how everybody does it. This is how all these scoops happen. The other aspect I hate for it is there are a lot of women who work, and I've seen DMs that get propositioned all the time from coaches, players, and And then when you see a story like this, players are like, or coaches or whoever it is, are like, oh, this is how it works. Hey, you want to go out? You want to meet up for a drink later? And, you know, these women who are trying to do it the right way and trying to keep it professional, they, most of them just turn it down or ignore it. But then sometimes it does cost them an opportunity. And you get somebody who's willing to kind of toe that line and maybe flirt a little bit or have that drink. And then maybe it goes a little bit too far. And then it makes it even harder on the hardworking women who are trying to do it the right way. And I hate that for them. And I would say the majority of women that I've worked with do things the right way.
Yeah,
there's, of course, there's a small percentage who are looking for any angle, any way I can get in. They're just desperate to climb that ladder. But there are many more who have worked their tails off and turned down a lot of people and probably cost a lot of opportunities to get stories or to get that inside scoop because they didn't want to push that envelope.
Right.
And I feel awful for those women. That's who gets damaged the most, I think. Here.
100%. And you know what I'm going to be interested to see is, and it's something that I know rubs a lot of men the wrong way, right or wrong, is that there's almost not like a female way to do this job and a male way to do this job. They kind of all do it the same. So a lot of the females are open and outspoken and strong and brazen, I'll be interested to see if some of the female reporters who do it the right way get on their platforms and maybe they speak up for the first time. It'd be interesting. I think they probably won't go against the fraternity, but it would be the ones who are doing it the right way. You got the platform. You're always open to talk, right? Usually. So let's see you guys use your platform and talk about how, the right way to do it and how it's not what's going on a lot. And I'd love to hear their point of view.
I would love to see them stand up too, right? When there's
Hannah
a Me Too
Storm,
movement,
Linda
they're
Cohn,
crushing you should stand up for your colleagues in the business that are doing things the right way.
Totally.
But it is a tough spot for them to be in. All right, so we don't think anything happens to Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I mean, personally, we'll see what happens. Both of them personally. Professionally, a lot of people have been kind of upset by this from Dianna Russini's standpoint. She works for The Athletic. Again, she's one of their biggest voices. She was a big, hire for them, hiring away from ESPN. Do you think they do anything?
The Athletic?
Like her bosses. Does this put her job in jeopardy?
Well, I've tried to pay attention to how, what her first statements are going to be and
which, by the way, she really hasn't. I mean, I think her first tweet was today. And you talk about getting just ratioed in the comments.
Well,
nobody had a comment about it. It was some NFL story. And every comment was like, how'd you get that? Who's this? And that was all it was.
Well, that's the thing. You took it out of my mouth is that I wanted to see if she would address it head on. I mean, she put up a tweet like nothing happened yesterday. So she put up a regular football tweet about a transaction or something going to camp. And I was like, oh, that's the way we're going to play this.
How many comments are we up to?
Oh, she's getting slaughtered. I mean, and you know what it reminds me of?
2,400? Is that what that says? And my eyes suck. But yeah, it's a lot. It's in the thousands, which I would say in a normal article, she probably gets 40 to 50.
And do you know what it kind of spins me back to? And you remember it happened to Joy Taylor like a year or two ago. And it was a matter of
who is no longer working in media.
Correct. Is she going to, well, she's got her own platform now. And that's another outlet where I guess it's not as in the old days, you get canned from one of the big, networks. It's the biggest deal. You may not have anywhere to go afterwards, but you come back and you have your own platform. So I guess it's not the end of the world if something does happen. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. We saw like Joy Taylor, the same deal. She'd put something up, and the first 1,000 comments would have something to do with the story.
Now that one, again, if you're judging these as far as which one's worse, which one's better, neither one of them are great. They're just personally they're awful.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
But when you're sleeping with the bosses to try to get elevated within the company, that's where it definitely will cost you your job, and it eventually did with Joy Taylor. Yeah. This is kind of different. It's her personal life. It's a personal thing, but the complex nature of how is she getting some of her sources and her stories does make you wonder, how much do you trust her anymore? And when you're a journalist, and I use air quotes because we're sports, right? But when you're a journalist, people are trusting you for information. And how do you look at her information and not say potentially is it compromised because it's been fed to you by somebody you're this close with?
And granted, it is all alleged at this point, but I mean, coming back, oh my gosh, coming back.
Just leave it on that one.
Coming back from 2008 till now. Generally, the rule, I mean, if there's smoke, there's fire. This has been the fourth or fifth time we've heard about it. It makes you believe how many times could it have happened that you haven't heard about, and it's not a good look for her for sure. No, not a good look for The Athletic either. You know?
Exactly. So, it's one of their lead voices,
and that's what we talked about. We've spoken about this before. Should you be able to say certain things in the uniform? And if you we talked about it with Jaden Ivey a week ago, right? Jaden Ivey lost his job, and people were saying you're you have freedom of speech, but you have to, you have to stand, you got to maintain a certain level of professionalism, or else you smear dirt on the whole operation. And that kind of takes the same shape here, where Dianna Russini, she makes the Athletic look bad. And if they feel like this is too much, oh my gosh, look at this one.
Yeah.
Wow. You probably could
that's the Coldplay concert. They're going through that one.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to have a field day. She's going to have to deal with this. I mean, it's kind of her bed. She made it. Now she's got to sleep in it.
Absolutely.
So now she's going to have to deal with this, pun intended.
Interesting pun.
Yes, exactly. So I mentioned that this was right after the NFL owners meetings.
Yeah.
And that was where the annual tradition, I guess there's two now. Did you see the day drinking thing with Jay Glazer?
No.
He has like a day drinking party at the pool. And there were like 15 out of 32 coaches there just hanging by the pool. I guess Sean Payton picked up the tab, and they're just hanging out in the daytime. It was pretty cool. He shows a video, and it's just all these coaches just hanging out. And you'd love to be a fly in the wall to just be able to sit there and get some stories from them and see what they're talking about.
I always
wonder
say...
if Vrabel was there. I wonder if he had snuck out.
I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, here it is. Here's the video.
I always say that if I could emulate like a journey in sports media, Jay Glazer had a real cool... I mean, he breaks huge stories.
Yeah.
He trains some of the athletes, and he's kind of like cool with everybody. You know what I mean? I don't know too many people who hate Jay Glazer.
When I was a rookie on the New York Giants, Michael Strahan and Jason Sehorn, one of my buddies, but Michael Strahan was the one who kind of spearheaded this, said, hey, we're going to dinner. Do you want to go with us? We're going in the city. I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, who's going? He's like, well, Sehorn. He's like, and this guy named Jay Glazer. He's like, and he said he's a reporter. And I was like, why are we going to go out to eat with a reporter? Like, like you kind of don't like reporters because they're all a little bit shady and they're looking for information. But we went out to dinner with him. He's great. Like, you can see, like, he's done a great job of networking. His training center, where he trains a lot of guys with the MMA.
Yeah, that's why I think it's cool.
Absolutely. So he's done a phenomenal job of networking and building those relationships. And that's why he's so dialed in the community.
I would love to ask you this. As somebody who's been at a table like that, and you've probably, over your time as an athlete and now as a sports media guy, how often when you do have these conversations can you tell a reporter, like, guys, this one's going to stay between us, and they generally keep it? Have you had any experiences where you thought you had a guy's trust or a girl's trust and can tell them something, and afterwards you went, come on, man, this is
I haven't been burned super bad. Like, I've never been burned really bad, but I was always very cautious. Like, even that night with Jay Glazer, I was kind of keeping it surfacey, you know?
Were the other guys?
No, but like nothing too juicy. It wasn't like, hey, this guy, maybe it was like, this guy's a jerk or this guy's a pain in the neck as a teammate, but nothing like this guy's going to get cut or this guy's hurt, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've never been burned, but I also was very, very careful in what I said around him just to be safe. All right, back to the NFL coaches picture here. Annual tradition. This is the other one, is the picture of all the NFL coaches, or at least most of them. So everyone's looking around and like, there's a Barstool guys do a great job. Pardon my take. They break down every single outfit that's there. Like, they break down, the new coaches are always sort of the ones you're looking for. Well, Todd Monken, as the new coach of the Cleveland Browns, was absent. So everybody's like, what happened? Was he at the day drinking thing and he just, didn't get to the picture later? And we found out why Todd Monken wasn't there. Here he is telling his reason. He was getting a clean cut.
I really don't give a shit. I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I mean, they moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut. I mean, that's what I was trying to do. And then they moved the meeting. Now, you can blame that I should have been at the meeting when they moved it up, and my ass would have known that's when it was. Yeah, okay, I got you. And was it disappointing? Bet your ass it was disappointing. Would have my life to be a head coach? I'm not in the head coach's picture. You'd think with AI they could have done that quickly and got me in there. But no, it's the way it is.
I love that
under
part.
the bridge, and what'll matter most is how we move from here and do we win or not. That ultimately, none of that will matter.
The reason I asked is that there's this perception around Browns, like, what can go wrong, will go wrong. People always read the worst into what happens here. How can you guys change that perception?
Winning. Well, what changes everything, right? Winning changes everything, right? I told the coaches that the other day, right? Or playing well. How does a player stop a narrative? Play well. How do we stop a narrative on offense? Score. How do you stop a narrative of winning? Win. It's pretty freaking simple, right? I mean, is that not in life in general, right? There's a narrative out there that, you're not a good husband. Well, change, be a good husband, right? All that's part of it, right? Change the narrative, become that. That's what we have to do. It's real simple.
That's the right answer.
Gosh, the reporter's question was so good because you kind of had to press him, right? And it does feel like when Aaron Glenn falls asleep at the combine, it's like, of course it's the Jets coach. Now you've got a coach and you're like, of course it's the Browns coach. And I give the reporter credit for stepping up and asking that question. Like, do you get the perception? And Todd Monken is 1,000% right. There's only one way to change it, and here's the thing, what'll happen. If he goes out there and they win more games than they did last year and they look like they're making progress, no one will remember that. Same thing with Aaron Glenn. Like, if Aaron Glenn turns it around, they get 7 or 8 wins this year, they look like they're heading the right direction, no one will remember him falling asleep at the combine. No one will remember Todd Monken missing that picture. But if they start off 2-11 It's like, oh, this is the coach that missed the picture. It's just, well, here we go. It does something that follow you. Adam Gase, remember his opening press conference?
With the Jets?
Oh, yeah, it was one of the weirdest, most bizarre things ever.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, how the heck do we hire this guy? Yeah. But there have been Nick Sirianni for the Eagles had one of the worst opening press conferences ever. No one remembers it because he got a Super Bowl under his tie.
Sure.
It does. Winning cures every ailment, every reputation. The only thing to turn it around. But now you kind of like, you're going to get this question this offseason, and, it just kind of follows you there. I didn't know that the meeting or the picture time was changed.
Yeah.
Because, the haircut thing is kind of corny, right? And he's kind of having fun. I got to get a sweet cut. Look, he's like he's a middle-aged dude. Like, how much does your haircut really matter? So he's kind of making light of it, which I do think is funny, and like making light and just kind of putting it there. But it is kind of, how the heck do you miss that picture?
Do you know what, man? I actually feel Todd Monken right here. I'm going to tell you why.
Because you like a sweet cut?
I love a sweet. I always love a sweet cut. But, we had a situation this weekend, right? My father-in-law was in town, and he's supposed to leave on Sunday night. It's Easter, right? So we dictate the whole day upon when his flight is at 7:45 at night. His flight goes from 7:45 at night to 8:45 at night to 12 o'clock at night, back to 10 at night, back to 9 at night, back to 8 at night. So we book our plans, and then when things change, we change. And then when things change, we change. So I totally understand, like, all right, you gave me a time. I was here at the time I was supposed to be here. I didn't ask you guys to change it. I would think it's the NFL. We're supposed to be able to be on point and stay with our structure, right?
Right.
You guys shouldn't be. And look, I totally appreciate a fresh cut, man. What can I tell you?
So I just I wonder, and you never know. Like, I think there's a couple text threads I'd love to be a part of. The being one of the 32, and I wonder who sends the initial one. I'm sure they have somebody in operations who puts all 32 head coaches on the thread and says, "Hey, we're going to do our picture at 4:00, and out in the whatever lawn that's out there." But as it starts changing, do any coaches bitch? Does Monken say, "I was supposed to get a haircut," and another guy's
I'm
like,
in
"I had
the chair
a tea
right
time."
now.
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing here? But in any case, he missed out. And I thought it was pretty funny, he said to AI, which is true.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, all right? Well, maybe you just made me think of something. So you have in a bunch of group chats with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
There's 5 in every group chat I have that actually talk, and 25 that never say a word.
Yeah.
Who are the 5 head coaches you think that are dominating that head coaching group chat?
I think Vrabel might. I would say Vrabel's somebody who probably chimes in, and I bet they're kind of wondering what that group chat said after
Detroit.
that. Yes.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Him. McVay. You think McVay's voice? Sean Payton probably doesn't shut up, right?
Yeah, I bet Sean Payton, by the way, picked up the tab for that day drinking trip. Trying to think who.
Dan Campbell's got to be in there and loud, right?
I would think so. Mike McDonald probably not.
Well, he's out now.
Right. So with the Seahawks.
I'm thinking of Mike McDaniels.
Yeah,
sorry.
Mike McDaniels out. I bet he was probably pretty chippy. Yeah. I bet he was probably in there chiming in.
They probably side chatted once every time McDaniels said something. Two of the older coaches like, "What is this schmuck talking about?"
I would love to know how many side chats there are too. Is there, because they definitely are kind of cliquey.
Well, you know what I thought about too when I was listening to Coach speak right here is the older coaches have such a way about answering questions versus the younger ones. That's probably what it is. Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, those guys are probably in one chat.
But Andy Reid, I'm saying Andy Reid ain't putting anything on there.
Oh, Andy Reid, no.
Yeah,
but he's probably like the Godfather. He probably says one thing every month, and everyone's like, "Oh,
he chimed in."
Andy Reid said something. This is serious.
Yeah. There's definitely is there somebody that puts the corny gifs and jokes in there? Yeah. Is that because I get a lot of those in our chats. And we'll call them out, but stop it, stop. We always have a conspiracy theorist in there, the latest conspiracy
I kind of feel like that's probably Salah. Salah looks like he should be a Marvel character, but he's real well-spoken and soft-spoken.
Right. I don't think
loving.
He chimes in.
You don't think Salah chimes in?
I don't think so. I bet he's pretty quiet.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
but that'd be pretty. I bet Sirianni probably keeps to himself. Look at him. He's over in there. And then them on the far right.
Yeah, I don't think people like Sirianni very much. That's why.
I don't think so either. I don't think Eagles fans do either.
I told you my experience at Sirianni, right? The short time that I was in Kansas City, he was like a video control or a quality control guy. This is before he ever got.
Oh yeah, I think you did tell me.
He
Coach Haley. Who you were.
Well, Coach Haley was very nice to me. He was real nice to me.
Nice to everybody.
But man, oh man, Coach Sirianni not
only
very
if you were starter.
If you were somebody who was real nice to you, yeah. If you were me, not very nice.
Yeah, I don't think that's why. He doesn't have the best culture there in Philadelphia. Yeah. We'll see what happens this offseason. All right, on to the next story, because Donald Trump on Friday put out a big executive order into the headline from the White House was Donald Trump wants to save college sports. Now, college sports is in an interesting spot right now because the ratings just came out from the Final Four. It was one of the most watched championship games in 7 years. for college football. The ratings are off the charts. You know, everybody's tuning in. So it feels like the sport is at an all-time in popularity. But if you talk to coaches, if you talk to fans, everyone kind of hates it. They're like, what is going on? We've got players moving around. We've got players making millions, players playing at 5 different schools. Michigan, who won the national championship, had 5 starters. All of them started their career at a different school.
Yeah.
All 5 transfers. So it's kind of wild how that has unfolded. Let's have a listen to Clay Travis here on Fox News. He's explaining what is going on in the executive order.
President Trump got it right, and the major conference commissioners have all almost immediately endorsed his major changes or the things that he thinks need to happen in college athletics to return some sanity to the sport. The 3 that stood out to me the most, and I think are the most key: 5 years to play 5, 1 free transfer without sitting out, and no players can return after going to the pros. There are many others, and I know the president is watching likely right now or will see this. What I would encourage him to do is use his executive authority like he did when it came to investigations of colleges and universities and say, hey, if you violate these rules, I'll withhold federal dollars from your athletic programs. Now, we still need Congress to act. In particular, we need them to give college NCAA authorities an antitrust exemption so they can put rules in place. But I really think if the president put up a truth and he said, this is the rule of law and I will withhold federal dollars from any athletic department in the country that violates the precepts of these rules as we await Congress's ratification of them, I think it would have a really transformative effect almost overnight. We saw it happen in other aspects of his executive orders, men not in women's sports, for instance. I think if he did that, it would immediately start to fix even more many of these issues.
That's a good one. That's a good point by Clay Travis, kind of bringing it up. Like, how can you add some teeth to this? Because it was an executive order. I think a lot of people said, it's just like it's not going to get to the next level. It's not going to pass. There were a couple things on here that I think are important. One, and this impacts the sport in a huge way, the 5-year eligibility window for NCAA athletes. And by the way, the NCAA today, there was a news report that came out that next week they're expected to move forward with just that aspect, the 5-year window, 5 years of eligibility.
Okay. Well, my one question on that one is I love 5 to play 4 or 5 to play 5, but I don't know how much I love that. I like it where the clock starts the day you enroll. Because there are people who do have particular set of circumstances. A guy like Paul Skeens who went to serve first. You know, a couple of guys who go in, maybe they play another sport first. So as much as I am totally for not having 30-year-olds play college sports, if there are some insinuating circumstances where a guy may start at 20 or start at 21, I don't think he should lose 2 or 3 years for that. I am also curious about the 1 transfer for anyone. What do you think about? I think right now is the rule you get a transfer year if your head coach leaves. Is that a rule?
You can transfer anytime you want now.
So
you don't even have to have it. You can transfer every year. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you get free all the time.
I think maybe that's a caveat I'd put in. Like if you went there to play for Jimbo and Jimbo retires after year 1,
or he leaves,
I think maybe you let me go.
Yeah,
I think something like that is kind of probably something that would be helpful.
So the 5 for 5, there are 3 exemptions that you can start your clock later because as of now, it's 19 or the minute you graduate high school, whichever one starts earlier. It says 3 exceptions. Military service.
Perfect.
There's religious service. BYU has a ton of people who go serve 2-year missions before they start. That's one. And then maternity leave for female athletes. Like if you have a baby or, and that one, I don't know how it works. Like, do you get 1 year? What if you take 2 years to raise the baby for a year? But that's another exemption. So here's the one that kind of bums me out. We won't see Chris Weinke again. Because Chris Weinke signed and played professional baseball, minor leagues, probably 5 years, 6 years, and then he was a 27-year-old.
Brandon
Whedon's another one. There have been others that have gone that route, but it's just like they're like, sorry, not sorry. The other thing you will not see anymore, there's no more red shirting. No more. So there's no medical red shirt. So it's kind of like high school where if you think of it, like if you tore your ACL your senior year of high school, it's like, sorry. Yeah, you don't get to come back for your senior year. That's the same approach now. So you get 5 years. If you tear your ACL, you can treat it like a red shirt if it's early in your career. But if it's your 5th year, you're done. Like, sorry, thanks for coming. And it's harsh, but I do think it's necessary. Like, I don't love 25, 26-year-olds. We had a player at Miami, got 9 years of eligibility.
And
this kind of just
Cam McCormick.
Washes all of that away and says, you know what? Yeah, you got 5 years, and you can do that. And the other aspect I like about it is the red shirt. Like, since there's no red shirt, if you're a young player and you're on a team that's struggling and you're, like you might not be able to get any playing time because they want to save your red shirt year. You can play some. You can play out there, get some reps, kind of get a little bit of development before your 2nd year, and it'll move on like that. So I like this rule. Only thing I'm kind of bummed about is we won't get those baseball guys. I was a baseball guy, kind of thought about playing there. But if you allow minor league baseball players to make this transition, what do you do with guys that play in Europe professionally in basketball? or play. So I think they're just trying to make it, hey, all professional sports, like you gotta, and you can't come back. Like we've saw a couple players, which is crazy, which isn't, common sense. All right, so that's the only thing that the NCAA has moved forward on this executive order. The other thing, what you mentioned about the transfer portal, which I would love to see this implemented. So it's one transfer, and then if you go a second transfer, you have to sit out a year. And by the way, you lose a year of eligibility in that 5-year window.
I mean, that was always the rule prior, right? Like that was the rule prior. That's what I thought when I read all this. I'm like, oh, so he pretty much put it back to what it was before, with the exception of giving the one free.
Which I do think, like, I don't want to see. I see all the time. Quarterbacks, players, but quarterbacks kind of always, I kind of see those quarterback stories that play at 4 schools in 4 years.
Right.
And it's like, that's not what college sports is supposed to be.
Sure.
But I get, like, if you go somewhere, because the recruiting process is a wild one, right? You get the coach at his best. He loves you, right? But then all of a sudden you show up and he maybe coaches you a different way, he maybe treats you a different way, and you're like, who the heck is this guy?
Right, of course.
And traditionally you'd be stuck. And you'd have to go and you'd have to sit out a year. And maybe you don't want to do that. So I understand that. So if that happens once, I get it. Totally agree with you. If there's a coach that leaves, you should be allowed, this should be exempt. Like you should be allowed to go. If the coach goes, you should be allowed to go. But I don't know if they're going to sign off on that, because it also, like we saw at Penn State this year, Matt Campbell goes from Iowa State to Penn State. Guess who's coming with him? Like 17 players at Iowa State. And guess who they are? His best players.
Yep.
So it really does put Iowa State in a bad spot if you allow these exemptions. But how do you let the coach go and not let the players go? Like, it is a double standard that is not there. But I think the portal is one that everybody kind of agrees on. We want to see the movement slowed down. That's also the one I think will have a really hard time standing up in court, because these are all going to be challenged, which sucks.
And you know what I thought of right away is there's universities now who, since NIL became a big thing, have really utilized the ability to bring in a successful junior or senior quarterback. And you imagine that a lot of that's going to be like hampered now, because a lot of the times by the time guys are juniors or seniors, they've already used that transfer. So they're not going to have the freedom. Like you think about the U. The last couple of years, the U brought Cam Ward in.
Right.
They brought Carson Beck in. Right. Now they brought in the kid from Duke.
Right.
Those guys all,
so here's the only one they would have been able to sign was Carson Beck.
Right.
Because Carson Beck was his whole
Only
career.
transfer.
But
Yeah.
Mensa was at Tulane first. Then he was at Duke. And now he's at Miami. So he wouldn't have been allowed to go there.
Right.
Same thing with Cam Ward. Started off at FCS. Then he goes to Washington State. Then he goes to Miami. You can't, and I think that's good. I think it's a good thing. So we'll see what happens. But college sports is pretty much still a mess, but I do like the 5-5 and all of this. Hopefully the dust settles sooner rather than later. But I think we're in this sort of limbo period for quite a while.
Malik, let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question. So pushes schools to prioritize women's and Olympic sports regardless of revenue. Let me ask you this question. When you're a big booster for Florida State, and I say I have $10 million, I want to contribute it to the Florida State football program.
Yep.
Are they allowed to do that? Or it has to be like evenly distributed?
No, they can say they want it just for football.
Can't get $10 million because some of it's got to go to softball.
No, they can do it all. So what that rule is in there specifically, and this is one thing I have 3 daughters. You know this. My one's going to play college athletics in Elon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of schools, as this kind of new era has transitioned and we're seeing more money spent on football and they're having to build collectives and they're trying to, a lot of schools have canceled women's programs in order to support the football team. Yeah. And that's what I don't want to see. And I think that's the reason this is in there is it doesn't even say pushes schools to prioritize. I think that's the wrong wording. It says you cannot eliminate them, that was one I do think he said he would threaten federal funding. If you do away with some women's sports, then you're in trouble, which I think is a great thing.
I think it's cool.
Because I want them to have the opportunity. Now, I don't think that you should have to pay the tennis player $1 million because you're paying the starting quarterback $1 million.
Right.
And I don't think that's what it is. So I think it's just something to protect women's sports and Olympic sports and non-revenue sports from being canceled, which I think is a good thing. Malik, let's stick on college sports and go to the Dawn Staley versus Gino Auriemma, since we're in this college window, because, man, in the Final Four, you had these two teams, which are the biggest brands right now in college basketball, and you had UConn, who was a perfect 35-0, I think, on the season, 36-0, looking to go undefeated all the way through, and it was a beatdown. South Carolina took him to the woodshed, and Gino Auriemma, after the game, did not like it. You can see him there. He's having some words with Dawn Staley. And Dawn Staley was not backing down. She didn't just take a little tongue lash, and she went back at him. Here's a little look at the interaction.
The officials will hold the players.
What you talking about?
Gino getting into it a little bit on the sideline as Gino has to be held back.
Woo. Oh, yeah, she does not want to take that. And Gino wants to get a word in. We got coaches and officials having to separate them.
This rivalry, such a compelling one.
Woo.
As they exchange words at center court.
Look at Gino now. He's like, I'll just stand over here.
There does have to be one foul.
Don Staley was still wanting to get a word in.
Here before this game.
I didn't realize there was still time left. I thought it was after the handshake line, but he was kind of going up there with 8 seconds left on the clock, and then
8/10 of a second.
Yeah. So it was essentially over.
I think they thought the game was over.
Right.
Yeah.
So go back to the Don Staley because this one's pretty good. You can hear her. Listen to what she's saying after she's walking around.
Oh yeah. I don't doubt her either.
No. Yeah. She is telling anyone who will listen, I will beat his ass. And I do, like you. She's a fierce competitor. She was a great player.
Sure was.
Well, one more, and you could hear this sort of bubbling. This is during the game with a sideline reporter on ESPN. So keep that in mind when you hear some of the language.
Sarah Strong's jersey is split right down the middle. I saw you speaking to the refs about it. What message did you try to convey?
Right. There were 6 fouls called that quarter, all of them against us. And they've been beating the shit out of our guys down there the entire game. And I'm not making excuses because we haven't been able to make a shot. But this is ridiculous. Their coach rants and raves on the sideline and calls the referee some names you don't want to hear. And now we get 6-0, and I got a kid with a ripped jersey, and they go, I didn't see it. Come on, man. This is for the national championship.
Man, he was hot. That's a perfect one. Gino crashes out. So a couple things here. Gino Auriemma did put out a statement, kind of apologizing this morning. Don Staley and I spoke about our interaction after the game last Friday. I apologized to Don. It's basically an apology. It goes on. So Gino Auriemma has 12 national championships. 12.
Yes, sir.
Pat Summitt had 8 at Tennessee. The next, Tara Vanderveer at Stanford, who's retired. She's at 3. Don Staley has 3. He is the GOAT of women's college basketball.
Okay.
I thought this was a horrific look for Gino Auriemma.
Well, here's what I was thinking for the entirety of this time, especially that halftime interview. And you just said it. If you guys know women's hoops, you know that there was a time where Pat Summitt and the Lady Vols reigned supreme. They won everything every year. I mean, they were pumping out first overall picks time and time again. After Pat Summitt sort of transitioned out, it became the Gino Auriemma and UConn show, right? And it's been that way since. What I think Gino Auriemma did there, and look, if you listen to his halftime speech, he said, my player got her jersey ripped. There's a video where the player rips her own jersey.
Yeah.
And then there's a quote from Gino where he said, I tried to shake her hand pregame and she wouldn't shake my hand. And clear as day, she shook his hand.
Right.
So generally what I think happens is I think Gino Auriemma felt the grasp of the women's college basketball game slipping from his hands for the first time in probably 20 years. I think he was saying to himself, this is not good right now. We are in bad shape. And usually when you start lying, it's because you're worried. Like there's something going on. You're trying to save yourself from something. And Gino Auriemma, you could have said it better. It's a real bad look for a guy who sits on Mount Rushmore of women's college basketball sport history right now. And I just think he's started to get the sense like it ain't going to be easy like it's been the next couple years.
Now, there were some over-the-top takes. I'll say this. Because, again, I think it was a horrible look. I think you look like a sore loser. I think you lose some, your reputation takes a hit. Like, people are going to remember this.
I'm going to tell you something, though. I'm a sore loser.
Right.
Like, one
Great competitors are.
One of my favorite quotes was, and I heard Cam say it. He say, "Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser."
Right.
Like, so I don't fault him for being mad. And
right.
I mean, I might even stretch the truth at the end of a loss. Like,
right.
My guys were getting fouled everywhere. Like, they didn't call anything on these guys. Like, I may do that, but
so some of the takes I saw were just so dumb. Dan Wolken. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's the worst. I can't stand him. Like, I've gone after him on social media. He put out an article on Yahoo Sports, and he said Gino Auriemma almost has his Woody Hayes moment. And Woody Hayes, by the way, was fired as the head coach at Ohio State for hitting an opposing player during a game. One of the all-time moments out there, right? It was a horrific moment. He was fired and justified.
Terrible.
But like to compare it to that, and then he's like, "Oh, Gino needs to hang it up because he's lost it, and this is a horrific look for him." It's not, I mean, it's, again, I think it's a bad look, but like to call it as a Woody Hayes moment and that, oh, it's a warning sign. Here's the end. He's got to get out now. And by the way, notoriously missing was Dawn Staley's comments saying, I'll beat his ass. Like he left that out of the article conveniently. Bottom line, you know what I think? I think this is great for women's basketball.
Sure it is.
Just like the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese beef was great for women's basketball. Like these types of rivalries and heated, contentious, where you don't like each other, people tune in. They want to watch a train wreck. Why do you think they watch Real Housewives of wherever? They want to see the fights between the women, right? They want to see them go at it. This is great for women's basketball. If I was the scheduler in charge for ESPN or Fox or whatever, I'm saying, hey, we got to get these guys to play twice in the regular season. Let me see these two teams square off. You want to capitalize on this. So I can't stand some of the takes I saw that Gino Auriemma, this is a sign of the end. He's losing control. That's a bunch of garbage. The guy's still a competitor. And to your point, that's what I want my coach to be upset. Now, I don't want to cross the line that far, and I thought it was lame. He made up some stuff about the handshake line. It felt like it was hurt his ego because she made him wait. Like, I thought that was weak. But again, I think it's great for college basketball.
Yeah, don't think it's a coincidence that every time, like you said, the schedule makers are smart. They know what's going to sell. Like if you look at the ratings in the NBA now, right? The reason it's down is because I don't think we have a lot of those natural rivalries we used to. You think about Jordan and the Pistons. You think about Bird and Magic. These guys genuinely and these teams genuinely disliked each other. So you wanted to see them get out there and put everything they had into the games. You don't want to see them hugging and kissing on the court, man. This is good for everybody. This is great for the sport. I'm down for it. I mean, it's combat sports, right? You want to see the guys who don't like each other fight. And if they do like each other, I want you to pretend you don't for 6 weeks. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what it is.
All right. So we didn't get a fight in that court, thankfully. We did get one on the baseball field.
Yeah, we did.
The baseball diamond. Braves and Angels. This is a good brawl. This is a great brawl. I mean, a lot of baseball brawls. See the bench is empty. A couple guys talk. They push.
Yeah.
This one is throwing haymakers,
this was good,
including using the ball as a weapon, which we've got video of that. So let's break this thing down. If you can walk us through this here, Mano. Do you got some of the details on this one?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the
There's
pitcher,
a bunch of buzz by your, because he goes deep here.
Yeah. So the pitcher went. I guess what Soler felt like was in. I mean, growing up, when I grew up.
Okay, there's the home run.
Yeah.
Which obviously you're a pitcher, a little bit ticked off, right?
All right, so earlier in the game, Soler takes him deep.
Yep.
And then the next at bat is my understanding. I guess he felt like he buzzed his tower a little bit, like he came
right here.
in. I mean, that's not.
So that was that the same? So he got to go to base. So there's another at bat.
I thought that was a foul ball, and then they stayed in, and he throws another pitch inside on him right here. That to me is a little up, but it's not like. But I've seen way worse.
The first one, did kind of hit him on the bat, even though. So it's getting a little bit elevated there, and then all of a sudden it's just on.
So we missed the most
There's
important
another one.
part.
The next video is good because we get the rear angle.
So what I was trying to think was, it looked to me a little bit like Soler came up, like he came out.
Chirping.
He came out of the box like a little bit like a bat out of hell, and then he managed to conveniently slow down like midway through. Like, can this catcher grab me already?
Right.
So but then I think he realized I'm at the point of no return.
Yeah.
I'm like 55 feet right now.
Right.
So it's time to do this, and then they start going at it, and then we got a really good one, man.
Yeah,
it was a
they
good
went after it.
Yeah.
This was pretty good. Do we have? Here you go. Here's the rear angle. Here's the angle you're talking about, where you see Soler. He stares him down. There's some chirping, like hey, and then I'm sure the pitcher claps back. And then it's too much.
And for the first third of the walk, Soler comes out kind of slow.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes out with some juice, and then he slows down a little, it looked to me, like he's waiting for the catcher.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll grab me first.
Yeah, here's the rear one. So he's still in the same spot, and he's kind of disbelief. He's probably chirping. Nothing said yet, but he's probably chirping, right?
Well, they're eyeing each other up pretty good right now. I think they're trying to see who's the first one that's going to break eye contact.
And then here's the walk forward.
So he's walking. So now he starts to come, and now he slows down.
And then it's on.
Yeah. Well, the catcher, too, you could tell the catcher didn't want no smoke because Soler was in his stance for like 3 or 4 seconds before he threw it. You could have wrapped him up.
I'm sorry. If you're the catcher, you do have to wrap him up.
You have to, right? You're not going to let him punch my pitcher in the face.
Yeah. Right. That was kind of a bad look. And
he wasn't putting that ball down either. He had a plan for that ball.
No. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
I'd be worried about hurting my fingers.
Did he punch it? He punched it with the ball. He threw the ball.
Yeah. No, he was punching him. He held the ball's still in his hand.
Nice.
He was throwing haymakers with
get
the
Mike
baseball.
Trout out of there, please.
I know,
Mike Trout's finally playing. Can we get Mike Trout out of there?
But Mike Trout's probably the one guy that you see and you're like, okay, I gotta stop.
For Mike Trout, right?
So maybe that was the good thing. Here's the baseball swing. So watch here. He's got it in his hand. And he kind of looks like it. No, he held on to it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
now
he's still holding on to it.
Wouldn't have been my technique, but
right.
Imagine,
so did anybody land any good punches? I mean, I mentioned it was a good fight. There was guys wrestling, but I don't think anybody was bleeding with a bloody nose, right?
No, I don't think I saw anything crazy like that.
I want to see some blood.
Last really good punch I saw in baseball. Remember Tim Anderson?
Yeah.
Tim Anderson got dropped. That was that was like one of the better ones I've seen.
Yes, it definitely was.
So,
I like it.
Malik, while we have the Angels up, can we move over into something else I wanted to ask Danny's opinion on? Danny, I made sure that Malik put in a clip of this guy, Joe Adell, right?
Oh.
Joe Adell had what I would argue is the greatest defensive game Major League Baseball player has ever had. This ended up being a 1-0 win for the Angels, right? But throughout the game, Joe Adell robs 3 home runs. He finishes off with an entire body lie into
Over
the
the
crowd.
field, yeah.
So he robbed 2 early. These are incredible.
Right.
So
and they're not. There's
one.
no doubt they're over the fence.
Oh,
like he robs
unquestionable.
them. Yeah.
So I think the odds of getting 1 is crazy.
Right.
The odds of getting 2 is just outrageous. And then he gets a 3rd that would have tied the game. Any one of these would have tied the game. This is the 2nd.
Yep. It's another sick one.
Yeah.
So at 2, you're thinking this is unbelievable.
Right.
Because I think 2 would have been unbelievable.
Totally.
And then to get the 3rd and the track to run all the way over there. And,
it was the best one by far. It looked the coolest. And then they got this picture that if they don't put it on a sports card, they're really missing the boat.
Holding it up.
So watch this. Where they're behind him. Malik's a wizard, man. Malik, can you pull up the picture, the Joe Adell best
and
picture
I think it's
ever?
that woman right there. See the woman right there?
It's such a sick picture.
Oh.
It's such
Insane.
a sick picture. So I'm trying to get, is it greatest defensive performance I've ever seen in a
Yes, I think it's
in a baseball game?
unquestionably. Like,
holy cow.
We've seen triple plays turned quite a bit. You know, not a lot, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't think have we ever seen 2 home runs robbed, let alone 3. And to your point, the opportunity to do it rarely comes. Like we've seen players hit 3 home runs in a game. Like that's kind of like it's a big deal, but you get 5 at bats, like you're going to do it.
Yeah.
To come up with all of them. Absolutely insane. I know the picture you're talking about, the rear view. And it's like unbelievable. He's holding up the ball. Now, here's a question after. I did see some people pointing this out, and I am a baseball player. That's the picture.
The one. Oh,
that is
put
sick.
that on a baseball card.
Right? That is so cool.
Put that on an instant. They have like instants where they make cards like the night of, and
you
they go.
have to.
That's the best shot I've ever seen.
You have to. So cool. I mean, standing there in stands.
Yeah.
Why isn't it a home run? Because do you? And I saw a couple people ask this. I mean, he did catch it. But then he's over the fence and he's out there. Like, are you allowed to go? Like, what if I guess you're an active player, but like if you're a bullpen catcher and you catch it, it's a home run.
No,
know?
I like rewarding a guy who makes a great play.
I mean, agree.
But yeah, I don't know what I would say to that one. Like, I think if you climb, it's almost like if you establish position inbounds before you make a catch out of bounds, like it's good.
Right.
I feel like he's a live player as he goes in to start the play. He gets to finish the play. I feel like if he got where he is right now, you see where he's standing in that picture, and he just stood up there and waited for the ball to fall, I think it's a home run.
Yes.
But I think I don't know. I feel like you gotta be rewarded for that. That's one of the greatest plays I ever seen. It was incredible.
It might be. Malik, I'm going to send you something in the chat. I want you to pull up.
And while you're pulling that up, I just want to talk to the young athletes at home because this is what I thought of right away. I said, I wonder what Joe Adell did at the dish that day. What did he do at the plate that day? Because he had such a major impact in that game. And to young baseball players out there, Joe Adell didn't do anything at the plate that day. But Joe Adell had the biggest impact of any player in that game.
Right.
So I guess the moral behind that story is, guys, one part of the game can go horribly for you. You go ahead, you stay locked in, and go ahead and make a difference in a different part of the game. In a game like baseball, it's huge, right?
Yeah.
You see guys who are great defenders and can't hit all the time, but they make such a massive difference.
Yep.
You see it in the NBA, guy like Tony Jefferson, one of the best defenders I ever seen. Bruce Bowen, one of the best defenders I ever seen. Dennis Rodman, not huge offensive players, but you make such a difference at what you do well. So stay locked in and make sure that you're doing that.
Okay, I don't know if you saw this. This is college baseball. So that might have been one of the best defensive. How about this one? Now, this is a center fielder tracking this ball down. It's hit deep. It's hit warning track power. But let it roll here, Malik, and watch what happens.
0-1 pitch. Hit in
Deep.
the air. to right center field. It's going to hang out.
He's well inside the warning track.
See, Dan, I would argue that ball wasn't hit deep. I would argue that that's such a fly ball to right center.
Right.
Holy cow.
And the announcers are even confused, too. They thought it was a ground rule double because it bounced over, but it bounced off his head, never hit the ground.
See, now, I would be more inclined to say that's a double. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Who's the happiest guy in the world that happened?
The batter?
Jose Canseco.
Oh, yes. So
Jose Canseco is the happiest guy in the world.
Now,
that
his was different because he was right by the wall and it was there and it just bounced a little bit. I mean, this bounced like 30 feet off the dude's head.
I'll be honest, I've been hitting,
That's a tough noggin.
You got to have a hard head for it to get that much distance afterwards, right?
Yes, you do.
My, oh my.
Yes, you do. All right, let's get to some of the NBA stories because you got to get me up to date on this. I did see some of these stories circling about some of the awards, postseason awards that a lot of great players, big name players, are not going to be eligible for.
Yeah. So this is the story. Guys, we're approaching the end of the NBA calendar year, and there's some teams have 1, 2, 3 regular season games, and a lot of household names that have been making postseason NBA teams for a million years, winning awards, find themselves on the outside looking in now, and it's because of a rule that was instituted 2 or 3 years ago to sort of stop load management or tanking, and it has it requires players to play 65 games a year, roughly 20 minutes. Obviously, they're allowed. There's a little wiggle room in there, but and so many of your all-star team, guys that you expect to be there every year, find themselves ineligible. Anthony Edwards is ineligible. Cade Cunningham, who was in the leader in the clubhouse for the MVP of the league when he collapsed his lung a couple of weeks ago, and that's cost Cade Cunningham the ability to win MVP. He has his team, the Detroit Pistons, the #1 overall seed in the East right now. LeBron has got too many games missed. Steph's got too many games missed. It looks like Luka Doncic, who's another one challenging for MVP out west. His wife just had a baby in his home country. So he left, and he's going to miss the last few games of the year. Fortunately, they seem like they're going to give him an ability to at least file a challenge or something to try to get that. But, guys, this is a product of the league being in this is the crappy state that the league is in. Yeah. First of all, you should never have to institute a policy like this. right? I mean, the NBA is in a terrible place, and I'd venture to say that a lot of this falls on what's happened with them the last couple of years. And look, what I would say also is there's a huge, a great crop of young players to lead us into this next generation. Look, it sucks to say we're all going to miss him because we grew up on him, but Steph's going to be gone soon. Yeah. KD's going to be gone soon. Kawhi, LeBron, these guys are all going to be gone soon. But you have young players like Ant, like Wemby, like Luka, who are going to be here for a long time. So I like that this is their chance to sort of, change that. Get in, guys. Play every day. I hate the way the NBA is right now.
We go back to the list of players. There's the longer list.
Yeah.
You know what my take is? Do you think any of these guys care about postseason awards?
I do.
I
do think so, yeah.
Because of money in the contract or just for legacy plays?
It's a supermax, right? You can only be a supermax, supermax player if you're an all-NBA player. I think a kid like Wemby, what sucks? Wemby's a competitor.
Yeah.
Wemby stands to potentially win his first defensive player of the year this year. Mm-hmm. He needs to play 2 of the last 2 for 20 minutes for it to categorize as a game. Now, Wemby has terribly bruised ribs. The Spurs have already cinched the #2 seed out west. There's no moving up. There's no moving down. So now the dilemma falls upon the head coach. Do I run Wemby out there for 2 games with bad ribs when I should be sitting him for him to have the ability to win Defensive Player of the Year? So that falls back on Wemby now.
Right.
You got to sit him down and be
he hasn't had that second contract.
Well, he's going to. He'll
he's going to get it.
Yeah, but it's just like, I've been that's a nice notch on the belt. Defensive player.
Absolutely, it is.
You'll end up.
But a lot of those, I don't think LeBron cares. I don't think Steph cares.
I
don't think
once
some
you
of the
have
vets
10
care.
of them, it probably doesn't matter.
Right.
But when you're a young guy like Ant Edwards, Cade Cunningham had a chance for his first MVP.
Right.
Like those don't come around all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to do that as a young player in Detroit of all places. That's a great win if he get. I think that he's another one he's going to be able to file, and he has a legit injury. But I think it's because of a bad culture that's been put in by the last 10 years of players being sat down. Kawhi Leonard is the poster boy for it.
Yeah.
The Spurs did it for a long time, and it sucks, man. It puts these guys in a bad spot where they're going to. Now,
I'll go back to the pun I used with Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel. You made your bed, and now you got to sleep in it. Like,
Yes,
this is
you did.
all the players' fault.
Yes,
the
you
leadership who wanted nights off, who wanted to take rest, who did all that. They had to try to protect it, and now it's costing some of your guys. So I think it is what it is.
Yeah, I suppose, right?
All
but
right.
I hope that these younger players, like we've said, I've said this 100 times on this show, guys, these good players, they end up being like the cool kids in the league, man. They're the trendsetters. They're the ones that everybody follows. You get a strong crop of those guys that do the right thing and they play hard and they care, the Kobe Bryants of the world, the Michael Jordans of the world, who aren't motivated by money and contracts. They just want to be great. You get a couple of those guys atop your league to sort of set the tone, and the young ones will fall in line, I think. So I think if Wemby and Luka sort of send that message and set that tone, we're going to play. Like Michael Jordan at 40 years old played 82 games.
Right.
He took it upon himself. Obviously, the world was different then. The sports landscape was different then.
Yep.
But guys like that being the ones who, set the bar incredibly high, they allow for the younger guys to have that example, and we hope that the next generation has that in the NBA.
All right, you ready to break these open?
I've been ready for the whole.
Let's
for the whole
go. Me
program.
too. All right, so tell me the story. This is a last minute haul.
This
on
one
the way here.
Yeah, guys. As we've been trying to be pretty proactive in.
Do we want this before or after the rip?
I mean, if we got a room here, let's talk about it. So, guys, what we've been trying to do, and obviously you've seen Danny and I do it a lot. It's been a big passion of mine since I'm a little kid. It's sports card collecting. It's come back with a vengeance. It's about as big as I've ever seen it, guys. They're making like proactive pushes in your department stores now to sort of put different higher level boxes in there because it's become such a big thing. I mean, it's not rare to see a card sell for $1 million these days. So it's something Danny and I have gotten real we've started to really fall in love with.
You've got me in.
Yeah,
you
I'm
got
sorry
me
about
hooked.
that.
And now it's cost me a couple grand.
So what we're gonna start doing with some of our guests, guys, is I'm trying to introduce a segment called Talking Smack and Ripping Packs. And when we bring guests on, we're gonna have a pack for them. Think of like the Hot Wings show. That's sort of what I envision. Like we chop it up a little bit, couple questions, rip a pack together, and I think it breeds organic conversation based on the players. Well, guys, we have our first one coming up, and it's a name all of you guys are pretty familiar with. He is probably the standard in our field. His name is Stephen A. Smith. He is Mr. Sports Media. You see him everywhere. He started to permeate and infiltrate different Rob G said when we did Vinny's pod, shout to Vinny, Hot Takes and Hot Cakes, we had Stephen A. on there. And he said he's the new king of all media, man, because he's everywhere. He's TV, he's radio, he's podcast, he's politics eventually, it seems like. And we had Stephen A. do us the absolute pleasure of our first Talking Smack and Ripping Packs, and we're going to be airing that soon on VT Sports, so stay locked in with us for that, please.
Let's see a little teaser here.
We got a teaser? VT Sports. I am your host, Chris Mano. The segment is Talking Smack and Ripping Packs, and we are joined today by arguably the greatest talker of smack to ever do it.
Will you stop it? Don't apologize on TV. That don't make any sense.
Unquestionably the greatest sports media personality to ever do it, and a true one-of-one. Today, guys, we are joined by the great Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A., thank you so much.
How you doing, man? I don't know if they trust me or not. They just know that I'm going to be real. I'm not going to always be favorable to them, so.
He got a die-cut Dallas Cowboy, because of course he did. Micah Parsons.
No longer a Cowboy. Never think you know everything. Never, ever, ever want to be the smartest person in the room. And you show them a willingness to listen, they will be eager to teach. Mac Jones, I mean, right now, after he was in San Francisco doing this thing a little bit, he's improved his stock. I got it in the newspapers. Clearly, I talk better than I write.
Consider that question blasphemous. I apologize.
Walt Frazier, blasphemous for Vlade Divac to utter such blasphemy. At least I think so. So what the hell was I doing writing for?
Haha. That's great.
So, guys, that's going to be our new segment, Talking Smack and Ripping Packs with Stephen A. Smith. We'll be bringing some guests on over the next couple of months, and we're going to pop them in here with us, and we're going to have them start ripping packs, and hopefully we pop a couple of nukes out of there. And,
love that.
Should be fun.
Let's go.
All right, guys, so what we got today is we are going to be ripping wax. Ripping wax is a term used for a closed box packs that we have no idea what they are. Last week, if you recall, we did repacks, right? We pulled the Paolo Banchero and the Matas Buzelis Auto. Today, guys, we're going downtown hunting. So we're chasing downtowns out of the optics. Guys, we're chasing Wemby. Here's what we're trying to do.
Have you ever seen the stats on how many, have you ever
zillion packs to one downtown?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the side of the box, actually, in the smallest print known to man.
Right.
So, Dan, we got I think we got 8 packs in here. This is a mega.
Nice.
So, I mean, look, let's just go until we're tired, I suppose.
All right.
Let's rip them quick.
I like that.
And let's see, guys, can we pull our first big one on here? Let's get it.
Come on, let's do it.
I destroyed that box.
So what are we looking for? We're looking for a Wemby rookie?
We're looking for any downtown would be great. So
Yeah,
is
any
there 7
downtown
packs in
would be
here? I'm
great.
going to give you 4.
No, you get 4.
I'll take 3. It's all good.
You paid for them.
Start.
I'll let you do
All right, so
that.
I'll start and then
Okay.
I'll finish, and we'll let's hope for something good.
All right.
Guys, we'll buzz through these things pretty quick, but all right, let's see. NBA ones are fun. We haven't hit too many NBA ones yet. So, all right, we're starting with Derek Lively. I see some color back there.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Not quite the downtown, but Gershon Yabusele, D Wade, winner stays. That's pretty sick.
Ooh.
How about Jordan Poole on the pink? Clint Capella. About Zion. Come on, Zion, pick your stock back up, please. Get healthy. That's another guy who should be challenging for postseason awards, but he's hurt every year.
Wow.
Zion, a Baylor Shireman, and a Zach Collins to start us off.
All right, got a couple good ones. All right, we got Emmanuel Quickly, Christian Brown, Paul George, Oh, there we go. I got a couple of these My House.
Okay, is that
Shea
SGA?
Gilgeous.
Nice,
Yeah, that's pretty
nice.
good. Little Jalen Wells, rookie. Al Horford in the green.
Love it.
Color match.
match.
Yeah,
Love
see,
it.
I'm getting the terms.
There it is.
A little KG and a little Steve Nash.
Not too bad. A couple MVPs in there.
Yeah.
All right, we keep on rolling, guys. Let's go. And now, guys, we're going to, come on. It's got to happen eventually,
It's
right?
got to happen eventually. Ooh.
No, that's not the one. But that's kind of like the
Don't
color you're
cheat.
looking for.
Don't cheat.
There's Sadiq Bey.
Yep.
We got Jalen Green, who's just traded for KD. Zach Reese-Shea, first overall pick in his draft. Trey Jones. Nikola Topic on the rated rookie. Nikola Topic, interesting story, just survived. He just battled cancer, and he came back to play successfully. So shout and love to Nikola Topic. Torian Prince. Bam Adebayo, Mr. 83 points that should have been 50. And Harrison Ingram.
Fake 83. All right. I'm going through some junk here. What? Ooh, I got some color, though. Come Wendell Carter Jr., Corey Kispert. Oh, a little Wemby. My
You got a
house.
Wemby? Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
All right.
Little Mitchell Robinson. Ryan Dunn. Bilal Coulibaly.
Okay.
Adam Bona.
All right. So we're hurting right now, guys. Can we
right.
get something with a number and something with an auto? Or a downtown would just make everything better. How about first ballot Hall of Famer Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
Anthony Simons.
One of my favorite players.
Tari Eason. How about Jason Tatum on a splash? He's come back real strong.
I like that
How about
splash.
back-to-back splashes?
That's pretty good.
Steph Curry, Jason Tatum. Nice.
Nice.
Tyus Jones. How about the great Yao Ming in pink?
That's pretty cool.
And Anthony Davis, Yao Ming. Shout out to Yao Ming. I did see a
it.
Chinese female basketball player.
I saw her too.
7'3".
Yes.
Come on.
I mean, she's going to tear the WNBA
Now,
up. Now,
did they build her in the same lab as Yao Ming? Or
Probably.
What? Holy cow.
What if she's related? All right. Of course, LeVert, Dennis Schrader, Austin Reeves. Oh, another SGA. Is that the same? That's a splash. The other one was My House. G.G. Jackson, Brandon Ingram, Jamal Shed, and a little Kareem. How about? He's not doing a skyhook. It's like a reverse one. I got to see a skyhook if I'm going to get a Kareem.
Yeah, it'd be great, right? Guys, the moral of the story so far,
Just keep plugging away. Just keep ripping.
be hesitant with retail.
Yeah.
How about John Collins, Julian Strother, Asar Thompson?
Ooh.
How about a Jokic on the express lane? Not too bad.
Go.
Larry,
Oh,
winner
Larry
stays.
Legend.
How about Malachi Branham, Amin Thompson, and Donovan Clingan? Guys, if you could see through the box, you would have saved your money. That's not great.
Yes.
Well, guys, we've kind of been
next
spoiled by
time.
some autographs the last couple of weeks too. So
we have.
repacks are fun, guys. And see, these are the way I find, like, when I'm just like, I want to say, like, need a hit.
Yeah.
Like, I hit Target real quick and I grab one of these for $50.
Maybe you get lucky. It's like when you go to the gas station and pick up like a little $2 scratch off.
There it is.
You know, maybe you hit, maybe you don't.
I've hit a couple of good ones though. Never out of the optics. I hit one downtown.
I've won $100 at the gas station with a scratch off too.
There you go.
So it's same odds probably.
Well, nowadays what you do is you'd hit the $100 scratch and go buy cards with it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing from now on. All right, let's finish it out as we always do with a couple reactions. What do we got? Some videos to react to. Oh, now is this real? I see the headline. 16-year-old
propaganda on this
LeBron.
show.
Is this some AI? Is this some AI? I mean, there's no way I can tell that's MJ and LeBron. That's AI.
You know what I do know? I do know that Malik probably put this in there.
Yeah,
Malik,
exactly. These young
come on,
bucks.
Malik.
These young bucks.
And Malik's a Cleveland man.
Oh, of course.
You know what I don't understand, Malik, and you can clear this up for us when we're off, or if you want to pop on one, we'll talk about how do you support so hard a guy who consciously left you twice? They love him out in Cleveland.
Right. I don't get it.
Like, he didn't just leave me once. He
brought us a ring. That's what he said. He brought us a
everyone
ring.
else a ring too.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me MJ isn't like going
I love
travel.
how he doesn't say anything in these headphones, and he finally chimed in. He the best.
Exactly. Oh, this is good. Little company softball. Watch the knees.
Oh, no.
Watch out. Oh.
God.
Yeah. That's not good.
It's a
Knee
game,
was bending
fucker.
the wrong way.
Yes. It's the first. Oh. Holy cow.
Is that a celebrity softball or a company softball? It looks company. I don't see many celebrities out there.
How many company softball games get a stadium?
I
like
know.
that,
That's pretty nice company.
Oh my God! Come
you know
on,
who would
buddy.
Valuetainment?
Come on,
We would.
bud.
We'd get a
Probably
stadium.
would.
Yeah,
I
no
mean,
doubt.
Our owner owns the nicest one,
Right.
so yeah, sure.
Ooh, 52 reps.
They got Danny Brenchen?
225. Yeah, this definitely is not me. Is this college or high school?
I gotta see first. These better be good reps.
Oh yeah.
These better be good reps. Lock out, brother.
Oh, he's starting locking out. It's pretty good. That's pretty good form. Are you disputing the form?
He is as close as you can possibly get with it counting.
Not extending?
No, I think
He's hitting
I'd
the
count.
chest. Yeah, I think you're counting these.
Now I'm not. Now I don't count these. These are
Really?
not, these aren't reps.
Not full
No,
extension?
Those aren't reps. No.
Wow.
We did a
At the combine, those aren't counting?
No, never. No. We did the. They stopped counting at like 20 something, I think, which is phenomenal. But
Yeah. Still pretty impressive. Yeah, we see full extension on these last couple.
I don't think so. His arm looks like a right angle right there.
You're a harsh grader.
I just don't think the
Wow.
think the rack is at full height. Say you
Oh,
put the
yeah,
rack
even the
up
rack.
and his arm was here.
Yeah.
We had a.
It looks like high school, right?
We
Maybe
did
college.
It looks like Nebraska in the logo, unless they just use Nebraska's logo.
That definitely ain't Nebraska.
But
Oh,
we
maybe.
we would do a competition every year in college, offense versus defense, 225. They would put ropes around our bench and move it to the middle of the weight room, and we had a spotlight on us. It was sick. It was so much fun.
Uh-huh.
And they would count like the top 25 offense and the top 25 guys on defense and see which team wins, right? But our strength coach was such a pain in the ass.
Because he probably made full, like...
We would do the reps and come off, but like we would count them. So I'd be like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and I'd stop and he'd go 12. And I'd be like, what do you mean 12? You're like, you didn't lock out. He had this hard Southern accent.
Oh.
But tell me when we're doing it. We get so mad.
Because you could adjust on the fly.
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Leave it to the pros. Oh, we got a
he's
little
gonna pile
wrestling.
drive somebody. Oh, don't do this.
I know. Somebody's... Oh,
okay.
Oh, boy. Oh, what is that? Mud?
Mud?
Mud wrestling? So this is one of those fake WWE things, like wannabe backyard WWE, right? Like they're acting here.
I hope so.
Right. Or the guy can't walk.
Yeah, well, generally you have to allow a guy to flip you like that before he drops you on your head, right? Unless
Right.
you're really getting overpowered.
Right. Yeah, be careful with those backyard brawls, especially when you're putting on the show.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I didn't think the first time we played mud wrestling on our show would be that. I thought it would be something different.
Right. Me too. All right, that was a fun show. We went
Yeah,
a
it was
little
good.
long, but we appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure, subscribe. You don't miss the starting time. You never miss a show. Make sure you get in there, comment, like, ask some questions. Whatever you want us to hit up, we'll do it for you. Make sure you follow along on socials at Danny Cannell.
At Mano Steel on Instagram. And guys, like Danny said, just to piggyback quick, he's got some great stuff coming out about parenting athletes. It's something that every parent trying to raise an athlete, start listening to him. We're going to fire him out more. We're starting to do the case studies too. So please, guys, check it out. It's going to be a lot different and a lot of fun.
Appreciate you guys. See you next week.